welcome back to episode number 58 of Travel Talk. Today's episode is actually going to cover quite a few things in Brisbane. I did quite a bit on this day. Ended up going to the Suncorp Stadium, which is the home of the Queensland Reds, Brisbane Roar, Brisbane Broncos and the Brisbane Roar ladies team, as well as the Queensland rugby team when they have State of Origin. Also went to a rather substantial park that I'd found on Google Maps, and also went to a couple of other places. So it's quite an interesting episode. It might go on quite a bit longer than normal, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see what the time's like. But yeah, I got up about 8 o'clock that day. Had a lay-in from the night before after the disappointment about the whole job situation. I had Googled the night before about things to do, and I'd found the Roma Street Park, which was about, I think it was about a 25-minute walk away from the hostel I was staying in. It was basically then another 5-minute walk from there to the Suncorp Stadium, which is the one I've just said about. So I decided I was going to go in that direction and make the most of everything that was around there. So I left the hostel about 8:30 maybe. After getting up, didn't really have much to do in the morning, so just threw some clothes on and made my way out towards this park. By 9 o'clock I'd arrived at the park really. Like I say, Google Maps is everyone's best friend when you go travelling, so make sure you treat Google with respect, because they really do help you out. And yeah, the sun was out that day. It was a really nice day, it was really warm, which was obviously great for walking around the park. There wasn't really that many people around, because obviously the kids were still at school. It was a weekday. Which was lovely because it meant there wasn't that many people, so I could really make the most of it. The park itself was like 16 hectares or something massive like that, so it was really big park. It was stunning as well. The maintenance level on it must be horrendously big, but they've done such a good job of it. It was kind of like a true showing of Australia's attention to detail and like their upkeep of things that they are passionate about, and their public areas, which admittedly when travelling around Australia you do notice that they take a lot of pride, and I give them a lot of respect for the way that they keep their kind of parks. It's just the towns and cities in general, I feel like they are very well upkept and they put a lot of pride into the way that they look, so can't really knock them there. While I was in the park, I'm not overly fond of spiders. I think my threshold went up quite quickly in Australia, because I think it kind of has to, because you see that many of them that you kind of have to get on with it. But yeah, there was a spider. It's quite a big spider in Australia. I can't actually remember the name of it, but it basically catches birds, and it goes up lampposts and it makes its web around like the main part of the lamppost at the top, and waits for a bird to fly into it, and then eats the bird. And yeah, I was walking along and I looked up, and this bird was caught in this spider web, and it was just horrendous because the spider was like walking towards it, and I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm just gonna keep walking. I don't really want to watch the bird get eaten by the spider, if I'm honest. But you know, all good. Continued wandering around the park, trying to avoid spiders naturally. And this park had lots of like offshoots and little pathways, and it was nice because I could just kind of like wander at my own pace, and like I say, there wasn't any kids around, so it was just kind of doing what I wanted, own pace, just enjoying everything that was around me. But after about an hour, I think I'd seen kind of everything that was in the park really. I had a really good wander around, taking some lovely photos, which I'll put at the end of the video naturally, and decided I was going to head towards the Suncorp Stadium. Now obviously, like I say, on Google Maps it is very close. I didn't really know the exact direction, so I asked Google for a quick set of directions so I could get there. Now you've got to trust Google, but then at the same time possibly not, because at this point Google wanted me to cross a rail track that didn't have a bridge. It was just like, man, walk across it, it'll be fine. I was like, no. So I had to kind of take the long route round to find a bridge over the rail track, and not do what Google told me and just jump on the tracks and walk across, because that would have been very dangerous and I don't recommend it. So Google's good, and like I say, Google will be your best friend when you go travelling. However, don't always trust Google's directions, because you may die. So yeah, it took me about 15-20 minutes to the slightly safer, longer route round. But yeah, it's alright. I had all day, so it was fine. Arrived at Suncorp Stadium. I was taking photos as usual, you know, as you do. Taking lots of commemorative photos, because I wouldn't obviously probably get a chance to go there again. And then I kind of noticed that as I walked around the corner, there was a large group of people. and they were all gathered outside the main entrance, and there was like quite a few stalls and a stage. So I was like, well, I wonder what's going on here. So I walked over and I was listening, and it turns out it was Australia's Fatality-Free Friday, which is basically their way of bringing road safety to the forefront. So basically, they're having a big thing outside the stadium itself. So I was stood there and I was listening to all their MPs talking about safety and everything like that. They had some not NASCAR drivers, like some rally drivers over there as well. And obviously they were talking about how their job is about safe driving just as much as anyone else's is. And then the subject of a world record popped up. I was like, yeah. I was like, I want to be part of a world record. So basically the city of Brisbane built the world's largest key, and therefore set a world record. And anyone who signed the key would therefore be part of this world record. So naturally I was like, no, I'm here, might as well sign it. So I wandered over, signed the massive key, signature in history now. So, I'm important. Woo! And I took a few more photos of it and then headed off again. So that was quite cool. I accidentally got in on the world record. Everyone's going to love that. The stadium itself was pretty cool, to be honest. It was what I'd initially gone for, but obviously other things had taken over. And I actually managed. Channel 9 News that night, if you watch very carefully where they were filming the key, you can see the back of my head and my left hand. That is important. So yeah, I was on the news, sort of, ish, maybe, kind of, maybe not. But by now it was midday, headed back to the hostel because my phone was dying. Obviously I was taking a lot of photos, I was using my phone as my main camera, so obviously that was draining the battery quite substantially. I'd had that phone for like 3 years, so by then it was kind of like death's door. And headed back to the hostel. I walked for about 4 hours in total, hadn't really stopped. When I got back to the hostel, I just felt rest was necessary, so I had a little sleep for an hour. And woke up about 1:30, decided I went another little walk, and went across Story Bridge, which was the bridge in the last episode, which name I couldn't remember, which was really basically about 100 feet away from the hostel, and you crossed it and went to a place called Kangaroo Point. With such a name like that, you expect there to be kangaroos or something, don't you? Now, in the centre of Brisbane, I was slightly sceptical about how that was going to happen, and ironically, I was very disappointed because when I got there were no kangaroos. So I feel very let down by Brisbane for this. That is terrible. But before I set out, my phone rang, and I had a phone call from another job, sort of prospective job, and they said, did I want to have an interview on Monday, which was great. Obviously, today was a Friday. And that was good news. Obviously, meant that I got another job interview in the pipeline. So that was great. So that was, obviously, after the last job interview didn't go very well, this one would be another chance to see what happens and hopefully see if I could get another job, which is the main thing when you're travelling. Like I keep saying, you've got to make sure you get employment so you can keep money coming in and prolong your travels. But yeah, that phone call obviously put me in a good mood, so I started my walk to Kangaroo Point, and it was pretty cool. There weren't no kangaroos, like I say, but everything's a little bit of a letdown on it. But they had a large park by the riverfront, so I sat there, walked around in the park, took some photos, and then basically headed off again. There wasn't much else to see. It wasn't the most entertaining park of all time. However, I did walk past a workman singing Adele's Rolling in the Deep very loudly, and to say he had the voice of an angel would be a really big lie, because he really couldn't sing. I can't sing, but I know that. So yeah, once more I headed back to the hostel, rested for a few hours, and I took myself to the cinema, I believe, that evening as well, because mandates are important. I took myself on a mandate, because, that's how I roll. And I watched some film, saw a film. I was about to say I watched a film and saw a pizza, but that would have been a bit weird. Watched a film and then had some pizza. Basically, like I say, I had a mandate with myself, because why not? So I think that night I saw, what did I see that night? I think I saw Avengers Age of Ultron, because I hadn't seen it yet and it'd been out for ages. And I feel like that was like a necessary thing. I was going to see it in Sydney, but obviously didn't really get a chance. And I think it was only going to be on in Brisbane for like another week or so. So I made the most of that, went and saw that. Really good film, obviously. Love Marvel films. They're like the best films ever. So I was glad to see that. Got back to the hostel about 10 o'clock probably and headed to bed really. It was a great day. Really enjoyed everything I did. Obviously, getting another job interview was a great step as well. And yeah, that was one of the probably the best days I was going to have in Brisbane. Obviously, we'd have quite a few more really good days, but that day was really solid, and I enjoyed everything I did. And yeah, it would just be nice to emulate those days going forward, obviously. But hopefully, you've enjoyed hearing about my fantabulous day. If you did, obviously leave a like, tell me that you enjoyed it. Hopefully, again, these videos are making people want to go travelling. And yeah, hopefully you'll catch me next time for the next video. And until then, I'll catch you next time. So yeah.